Okay, so this is the doctoral network, the IATN project that we started to prepare a couple of years ago, and that was selected for funding in April of this year, if I remember well. Just to give you an idea of the project, I'm not going to go into details, but so that you know what's my field and what's our goal. So I'm a biochemist working in microbiology, and as you can see there, so this is the abstract of. I will try to move this. No. Anyway, so this is the abstract of the project. So in the project we want to find new molecules, new antibacterials that would destabilize what's surrounding the bacteria, to make them weaker, to kill them, and to potentiate existing antibiotics. So basically, that's the background of the project. So now I will explain how we prepare the project. So, and I will also try to give you some advice, and I hope that they will be useful to you. So I was in an IATN network between 2016 and 2020, I think. And so that was a really stimulating experience. And so when that project ended, some of us in the consortium decided that we wanted more and that we wanted to renew the experience. And so we started the new project, the breakthrough project, with a core of 3 to 4 scientists, 3 to 4 colleagues from academia. And so that would be an advice for me to start. I think that if you are alone, I think that one of the first things to do is to connect and to contact like 2 or 3 people, people that you know well, you trust, they are good scientists, and then you get together, and then you start discussing about applying to this to the call and preparing a project together. I think I would not start immediately with a group of 10 people. That does not really make sense to me, but you start from a core. This is exactly what we did. So I remember that we had a meeting in Amsterdam a couple of years ago. It was just before COVID. And then all of us met even like in the station or in the airport in Amsterdam. And the meeting wasn't that long, we probably got there and spent a couple of hours together. And but that was really key, because what we did was to agree on a project, agree on a topic, to agree on a question that we thought would be attractive and stimulating. And then also we started to discuss about, other colleagues, other names, people that we wanted to include, and I will tell you on the next slide, I will give you some advice also on how to select those colleagues. But my first advice would be to start with a small group of people you know well, you work well together, and then together you have a brainstorming session, and you try to come up with an idea. I think this is the kind of thing you have to do well in advance, so this is not the type of call and project that you can start preparing the week before. It takes months and months and months, if you want to build a mature project. Okay, so after that first session, so what we did was to try to contact other colleagues, but then we had several names on the list, and then you contact people, and some of them say yes, some of them say no. So that takes quite some time too, but then you already contact them and you have a project in mind, a project that has been discussed with the core group. So that you know what you are talking about, what's the key question you want to address, and then you can connect with people sometimes that you don't even know. So in our consortium, so there are 10 partners. I didn't know half of them when we started preparing the application, but you talk to people, and then sometimes they say, we cannot come, I'm not available, but you could contact this person there and this other person there. And then step by step, you expand your network and you find committed partners. Sometimes, like we had this with one of the colleagues, he said, yes, I'm willing to help. But then, he didn't really do anything. He was not replying to the email. And at some point he dropped out, and so we had to replace him. And we found another one again, via the network. And this person has been extremely committed. So I think that when you want to expand and find other colleagues, you don't want to find friends. Of course, you want to have people that you can trust and you have a good relation with, but you don't want to just have a network or a consortium of friends. I think you want to select people who have the right expertise. You want to combine different expertise. You want the expertise of the partners to be very complementary. I will show you on the next slide that in our case, we have two very different work packages with two different kinds of expertise. You want to include people from academia and people from the industry, and that's really key when it comes to find secondments. And so I don't know if you know what a secondment is, but basically one of the features of the ITN network is that the PhD student, they will have to spend a month, 2 months, 3 months, at other places. And one of the secondment has to be with an industry partner. So you need enough industry partner. You cannot only have one because this partner is unlikely to be able to host the 10 PhD students that you can have in a network. You also want to vary people from different countries. You don't want all of them to be from Belgium or the Netherlands. So, you want a good mix. You also want to be inclusive. So we paid attention to the fact that we wanted female researchers, male researchers, young, old, experienced, like a very naive colleague, So I think it's important also to show that this is one of, that is something which is important to you. Okay, and so that was the second step. So after starting from the core group, the second step was really so you start with the core group, you agree on the project, then you expand. And of course, those new people, when they join, they will also contribute to the project, because they have an expertise that you didn't take into account when you first discussed the project, but they have this expertise and you think, oh, that's cool, that's even better with that kind of expertise. And then of course you adapt the project, and so those people will shape the project. In our case, I was really in charge of coordinating it, and so I did most of it, and sending emails to X or Y, asking him or her, please, I need your input on this, I need your input on that. But the architecture of the project is so complex that I think that's probably the most efficient way, even though it's a lot of work for the coordinator, but otherwise it's just non-manageable, I think. Okay, what's the time? Okay. Yeah, so in our case, that's, an example, so we have people from Belgium, France, UK. I don't know if UK will still be associated in the future, but anyway, that's another question. Italy, Slovakia, Spain, Germany, Italy, so it's very diverse. We have two companies, B09 and B10. But again, that was not enough for the secondment, because those companies, they are beneficiaries, so they will have a PhD student, they will receive money. So they cannot host the 8 remaining PhD students. So what we had to do was to find associated partners. And so those partners, they're also important. They don't get any money, but they can host PhD students, and so they are key when you want to build the project and make it like something realistic. The good thing is that you can find them at a later stage. Some of the associated partners, we found them like the week before the submission or 2 weeks before the submission, because one of the other partners dropped out. That they feel less committed on those partners, and so they can, at the last minute, they can say, oh, we have a change in our leadership in the company, and we can no longer participate, so we have to find another partner. And so that's not too difficult. From my experience, you can find them at a later stage, but they are important, they are really key. And I was part of a previous project and a proposal that was not funded first. And one of the criticism and one of the weakness was the fact that we didn't have enough associated partners. And so the plan that we had for the secondment was not realistic. Okay, the proposal, but it takes time. Oh, sorry, there is no S at times. It takes time without an S, a huge amount of time. And I think that if you have a lab to manage, if you have to teach, I mean, that's something that, okay, it's manageable, you know, many people do it and many people manage to do it, but you have to start well in advance, I think. And yes, so don't underestimate the time it takes. For the scientific part, you know, so I started with that part. So you have like 2-3 pages in which you describe the project. So it's not that long for the real scientific part, you know, but then you have to strengthen that scientific part by explaining, of course, the excellence, the goal. You know, I selected this snapshot because you see the little images and the little figures that we included everywhere in the proposal to make it easy to read, to be sure that the reviewers, you know, can get the message. You know, so I think these are important. We also stressed out the collaboration between us because it's not just, you know, you don't want to put together people who are not going to interact a lot. No, there will be many interactions, and they are highlighted on those 2 figures. And you see the collaboration between the PhD students. You see the 10 PhD students on the left side of my slide. And then on the right, you see the collaboration between the different companies and the universities. You know, I think that's really cool, key to highlight that. Then, so the scientific part takes a lot of time. You also need to describe the project of each PhD student. At the same time, that's not too difficult because you have to describe the project in a kind of short table, so that can be pretty straightforward. So that's about the scientific part. But then on top of that, you have the non-scientific part, you know, so, and that takes a lot of time too. So I don't want to discourage you because I'm stressing all the time it takes, okay? But at the same time, I think it's a great adventure, and that will be my conclusion. So you need to think about, you know, like a data management plan, a training program, how are you going to disseminate the research, you know, and also you need to think about the career development of the PhD students, you know, and so like in a typical FNRS grant, and I've seen FWO grants, you know, it's more or less the same. So you don't have to explain, you know, that much, you know, about how you're going to do that. And so here it's important. It's an important part of the proposal too. You're going to hear about the evaluator after me, and she's going, I guess, to explain, you know, that's also very important. And so this is maybe the other key message of my presentation, is that I really think that you need help. I don't believe that this is the kind of application that you can start from scratch without any input from either a colleague who has had a successful application. You want to see how people who did get the grant, how they wrote it, how they presented it. I think it's really crucial. Of course, you can rely on the research administration of your university, of your company, so that those people, they have experience, they can support you, that they can help you. And sometimes, and I have to say that this is something that we did, you can also ask a consultant to help you. So there are many consultants that can be found on the market. Some of them are really not helpful, that they cost a lot of money and they don't make a difference, but there are some consultants who are really good, and they charge you. So it's not for free, but it might be worth it because they have experience, and so they can give you helpful advice. Okay, so I think I'm more or less at the end of my presentation. So just as a summary, start with a small group of people, you know, try to come up with a good project, easy to sell, easy to explain, you know, and stimulating, challenging, then expand from there and try colleagues. Select your colleagues because they are good, not because they are friends, and try to build a diverse network in terms of geography, gender, and expertise. And then, you know, take time to build a strong proposal. Don't underestimate the importance of the non-scientific part. Don't forget about contacting enough associated partners. And yeah, ask for help. Ask for help. So as people in your university, colleagues, a consultant, and it's worth it. You know, so this is a picture of the group of the first ITN I was involved with. So at that time, I had 2 PhD students in my lab who were part of that ITN. And I can tell you that they really enjoyed it a lot, and they took a lot out of it, because they had a WhatsApp group with all the PhD students, for instance, and they are still connected, even though the project ended 2 years ago. You know, I know that they still communicate with each other. Yesterday evening, I got a text message from one of the PhD students who was in my lab, and she was texting me to tell me that one of the guys who at that time was in a small company in Germany is now working in Belgium at Janssen Pharmaceutica, and he contacted her to hire her. So that's the kind of thing that you cannot expect, but it's a concrete consequence, impact of the ITN network, because it really builds a network of PhD students, companies, and it's very stimulating. So it's true, it takes time, it's an effort, but on top of the money that you can get, I think it's really worth it for the adventure that you can live. And with that, I will end.